Right now at 6, neighbors frustrated by a string of street takeovers.
Like, what's the point of having police if they're just going to like sit by and watch this happen?
What Portland police say they're doing to crack down. Plus, flu season started slow, but now cases are rising.
It takes about 2 weeks after you get that flu shot for it to really ramp up your immunity.
And later, when it comes to snow, we're seeing near historic lows.
So right now we're about 40% of average if you go through the whole Willamette Basin.
So will January be any different?
First at 6, the sights and sounds of street racing rattling neighborhoods across the Rose City over the holiday weekend and sending some people and their pets into basements to escape that noise, which at one point even included gunfire. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. It turns out Portland police were on a mission targeting street takeovers at the exact same time, one that ended in over a dozen arrests. Blair Bess with the very latest.
Street racers took over intersections across all corners of Portland this past weekend. And this video into KGW shows just how dangerous it got.
Oh, this guy's shooting.
During a takeover at Southeast Hawthorne Boulevard and 20th Avenue.
They're shooting. Somebody's shooting.
Shortly after, police show up.
Cops got guns pointed at them.
They can be seen here handcuffing someone on the ground. Around midnight Saturday, smoke fills the air from another takeover at North Marine Drive near the Expo Center. About an hour later, so around 1 o'clock Sunday morning, street racers showed up at this intersection of Northeast Cully Boulevard and Prescott Street. Ben Ford lives just 2 streets away.
It was pretty horrifying. The dog actually ended up crying all night. I had to take him down to the basement and play music for him to calm him down.
He says trailers carrying the race cars went right past his home.
They unload and they're here for they were here for 2.5 hours. Very, very big engines where you can you can feel it in your chest.
And just about a mile down the road was another street takeover here on Northeast 57th and Sandy Boulevard. And this one also happened on Sunday. That makes 4 in just 2 days.
I've been cleaning up the debris. They leave folks leave a lot of beer cans, firework remnants. And in the past, people hit this pole. We've been worried about this intersection, just people coming through our windows possibly.
And despite what some of the videos showed, neighbors still wish there was a stronger police presence.
What's the point of having police if they can't protect us from that kind of thing?
There is no police response to anything.
All of us here at the Portland Police Bureau understand the community's frustration. We share in that frustration, namely because we know that these street takeover events and street racing events can be dangerous and they can be disruptive to a neighborhood.
Portland police officers spent 10 hours each night disrupting these events as part of a street takeover mission this weekend. It led to 19 arrests and 13 citations. Police recovered 7 firearms and 21 vehicles were towed.
We remain committed to conducting these missions as often as possible.
Now, Portland police are planning more of these target missions, and they want to warn people who take part in these street takeovers that they could face criminal charges. And under a new state law and updated police policy, their vehicles could be confiscated. David?
Blair Best reporting downtown tonight. Thank you, Blair. In your headlines this evening, Washington County deputies are investigating what led up to a fatal shooting in a rural area outside of North Plains. Deputies were called out to Horning's hideout around 9:30 this morning. They found 1 person dead and took 1 person into custody who has since been released. Deputies aren't saying much more. The name of the victim has not yet been released. We reached out to the wedding venue for comment. They told us they had no events planned for today. An update now on a police shooting we covered yesterday in Longview. 3 officers fired their guns, shooting a woman that investigators say pointed a gun at them. The woman, now identified as 29-year-old Caitlin Smith, was killed. Police say they were called to the home on Columbia Heights Road yesterday morning to reports of a man being assaulted and a woman threatening suicide. Police got the man out, but when Smith came out, that's when police say she pointed the gun at police and they shot her. In Southern Oregon, Medford police are investigating after a nurse was accused of taking fentanyl from a hospital and instead injecting patients with tap water. Fentanyl is used in hospitals, of course, for pain medication, but sources tell our news partners at KOBI that the nurse at Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center took the drug for their own use. They say as many as 8 or 9 patients were given water, ended up getting infections and dying. Experts say replacing drugs with other substances is called drug diversion, and it is not uncommon.
You don't think of medical professionals doing this, but 10% of medical professionals divert drugs. 10%. That's a lot.
Asante's board chair declined further comment, but said this is now a police matter. At this time, no one has been charged with a crime. And if you use the St. John's Bridge, get ready for some extended delays. Starting next Monday, ODOT will be closing the connector that links Highway 30 on the south side of the bridge for about 6 months. This is for stabilization work on the hillside above, which has a history of rock falls, one as recently as last year. Now, during the closure, everyone will have to use the connector on the north side of the bridge to reach the span. There will be accessible detours for people on foot and on bikes. Matt?
Thanks, David. We've had lots of showers today, and there's lots more in our forecast, too. You know what else is in the forecast? Some significant mountain snow. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but into the weekend we go. It's 28 at Timberline. There's been a couple of inches of new snow today, and there'll be potentially a couple more overnight tonight. The heavy rain already moved through. We are now in shower mode in the valleys, which means there will be plenty of times when it's not raining as we go overnight tonight and into the day tomorrow. And into the day on Thursday, too. You can see the heavy snow that moved through Mount Hood, and now just a little bit left over there as we get a few showers, some pretty good ones south of Salem right now, so we'll keep close tabs on that. But the snowfall forecast is finally looking impressive, as the Cascades can do. And as we begin Friday night and then go through the weekend and into next Tuesday, that's a forecast of 30 inches on Mount Hood, so that's 2.5 feet, right? Which would be great. It's exactly what we need. Hopefully that will come to fruition and actually verify. The models have a tendency to kind of go all over the place with a pattern like this, but I think it's a pretty good bet we'll get heavy snow in our first significant snowfall in quite a while, really about a month, up in the Cascades beginning Friday night and continuing into the weekend. So certainly good news there. So showers Wednesday and tomorrow and Thursday. Colder with the heavy Cascade snow beginning Friday night. And a colder pattern into next week. Could even see a few snowflakes in the valley floor, but no sticking snow. More on that later, David.
Yeah, great news for skiers and boarders. Thank you, Matt. To new details now, just into the KGW newsroom. Police have released the name of the man killed in a hit-and-run crash Christmas morning in southeast Portland. Catherine Cook is in the newsroom with the very latest. Catherine.
David, police say the victim was 63-year-old David Wayne Becker of Portland, and they're still looking for the person responsible for his death. Here's video from the crash scene. It happened on Southeast 106th and Stark just after midnight Christmas morning. You can see the large crosswalk in that spot and what was left of Becker's bike. An off-duty Portland police officer found him there and tried to help. Becker was badly injured and later died at the hospital. Police shared this photo of a suspect vehicle. They're looking for a maroon late 2000s or mid 2010 Dodge Ram pickup truck with a crew cab. It had damage on the front driver's side, including a broken headlight. We talked with a woman who says she was a close friend of the victim. She says Becker had just left her house before he was killed. She tells us she's always worried about deadly crashes, whether she's out walking or driving, and that nothing seems to be helping.
You got to be you have to be looking at the corner of your eye to everything. I mean, it's very hard. It's making it more difficult because we're trying to get all these barricades now in the middle of the road, and people are going across the street. I'm afraid to even drive now.
Here's another look at the suspect vehicle, this late 2000s Dodge pickup truck with front end damage. Anyone with information on who might have been driving it is asked to call Portland police. Now, this was one of 73 traffic fatalities in Portland last year. That makes 2023 the deadliest on Portland roads in 3 decades. David.
Yeah, grim statistic. Catherine Cook in the newsroom. Thank you, Catherine. In health headlines this evening, peak respiratory virus season is here, with more than half the country dealing with high levels of infections, according to the CDC. Tonight, Daisy Caballero has an update on where things stand locally.
Just a little poke here. Well, it's that time of the year again when health officials urge people to get vaccinated against the flu, RSV, and COVID-19.
As I said, the numbers are starting to climb. We're in the middle of flu season. It takes about 2 weeks after you get that flu shot for it to really ramp up your immunity and get you protected.
Dr. Richard Bruno is a health officer with the Multnomah County Health Department. He says this year's illnesses have started a little later than usual, including flu cases, which have been rising slowly over the past 4 to 6 weeks.
Around this time last year, about 25% of flu tests were turning positive. Right now it's about 12%, so we're seeing a little lag from what it was last year.
According to the CDC, 33 states are seeing high or very high levels of respiratory infections, including Washington, California, and Idaho. Oregon, on the other hand, is seeing low levels. But that doesn't mean we're in the clear, especially with COVID-19 infections.
It means that we could be at risk of seeing higher numbers. Across the state, there's an average of 20 Oregonians dying every week from COVID. So we really want to make sure people are protecting themselves and getting this year's COVID shot as well.
Dr. Bruno says we're seeing about a 10% positivity rate for COVID-19 infections and 12% for RSV cases, very similar to this time last year. He adds it's never too late to get vaccinated, despite being in the middle of the respiratory illness season. We'll have more details on KGW.com. Daisy Caballero, KGW News.
Coming up tonight on The Story, Multnomah County's ambulance crisis means Portland firefighters have been forced to get creative to help patients. On New Year's Eve, a fire crew and a bus driver took a man at risk for a heart attack to the hospital in a TriMet bus because no ambulances were available. Portland Fire reports more than 20 similar non-traditional emergency transports in 2023. Captain Dennis Bell treated the man on the bus. He says he knew minutes would matter in this patient's case, but says doing this more and more frequently is just unsustainable.
If you're going to bake cookies, you want to be in the kitchen. If you're going to transport a patient, I'd just assume be in an ambulance, not a TriMet bus, because you have to not only prepare what's happening right now, but what could happen. And a TriMet bus just wouldn't be set up for that.
Coming up at 6:30, you'll hear from the TriMet driver who drove that man to the hospital. That is just ahead on The Story. And straight ahead here on KGW News at 6, new video after a dramatic dog rescue on the Oregon coast. Plus, a slow start to ski season, though the wait might finally be over. We are headed to Mount Hood for a live update. That's next.